Blah. Hello, welcome back to some more stories from the internet. Yes, I'm still alive. You're probably wondering where the hell I've been. Well, I can't be bothered explaining. You can follow my Instagram to find out. What you're really here for is more stories from the internet, read by a nobody to everybody. So just sit back, relax, enjoy your tea, as I always do. Unless you're driving while you're listening to this, you gotta keep your eyes on the road. You can't be relaxing. And enjoy. This story by What Now 1995. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to comply with my husband's family wants and boundaries? I'm a 24-year-old female and been with my husband, who's a 39-year-old male, for 5 years. We have children together. Neither of us have a super traditional, close, extended family structure. However, my parents are relatively involved at a semi-distance. His family is very small and all live far away. He says, by choice, he's uninterested in trying to be closer with them. We see my family for all major holidays, more on this later, and my mum visits us once every 60 to 90 days for a few hours, plus the odd visit where myself and the kids will drive up and sleep at her place for a weekend or go camping, etc. We talk via text semi-regularly, but not much more than niceties. Anyways, my husband hates my mum. Nothing has ever happened between them. I'm not sure what's triggered it, but he does, and has for years. Granted, my mum can be a little abrasive and opinionated, but it's not much more than many people from her generation tend to be. Last Christmas, he blew up at me when I told him I wanted to go to her place for Christmas so they kids could see everyone. He called me a feminine pup and ended up agreeing. The only caveat was being it was our last time ever seeing them on Christmas Day. He also treats other smaller holidays visits as work days and uses them to subtract from the days he allots me per year to see my friends. Okay, yeah, this isn't turning good. He has been planning for us to move countries in the next 12 months, and since the inception of this, has tried to acclimatize me to cutting them off, as he says they won't be interested in visiting us so far away. I feel that means we should see them all we can now for the memories. He has asked me not to speak to my mum about any personal matters. I generally try to comply, but sometimes she asks and I share a little without going overboard. He says it's not normal and it's harmful to the household for me to tell her about personal problems. So lately I've been having a bit of a tough time and my mum asked if I'd like to go out for an evening with her, just to go shopping, etc. I know that my husband will be angry if I go alone, without one or more of our kids, because he'll be concerned if I'm oversharing about our personal life, which I genuinely would try not to do. It would be very nice to get a break from work and womanhood for a few hours just to see my mum privately. I actually haven't had alone time with either of my parents since around when I met him. But I know it's going to be a fight and he'll say I'm in the wrong. So am I the a-hole if I defy his boundaries? TLDR, I see my family rarely. My husband says it's inappropriate for me to spend too much time with or alone with my parents, and that I should never share personal problems, etc. I want to spend an evening alone with my mum, but no, it will displease him. Anyone else just said, "Wait, what?" out loud to themselves after reading this bit? He also treats other smaller holiday visits as work days and uses them to subtract from the days he allots me per year to see my friends. Seriously, what? I mean, it's in line with the kind of grown-as-heck in-his-30s man who'd pick up a teenager, so... But in seriousness, you're absolutely right. That's insane behavior. He's warped her idea of what's normal in a relationship so badly that it's dangerous, and I'm sure the reason he hates her mum is because he worries she'll see through him and point out that he's an abusive nightmare. I hope this thread serves as a wake-up call for her, and she takes steps to get help to get herself and the kids out of there. Not the a-hole, obviously, but there are bigger issues here than wanting to go shopping with her mum. Nata, look, you were groomed, you're in an abusive relationship, and he's using all these things to isolate you from your family, who are likely bad to him because he's 15 years older than you and groomed you. There's a reason why the 34-year-old was out fishing for inexperienced, naive 19-year-olds. It's the same reason he's trying to cut off your supper system and alienate you from your family. Here's a hint, it's not because he's a good guy. Nata. Now I can understand a partner not wanting personal information of the relationship being shared to family and friends, depending on the topic you are sharing. It's one thing to confide in a family or friend about some issues you're facing in the relationship that you don't know how to approach your partner about. But it's another to be making quips and comments about your partner behind their back, such as their poor behavior in the bedroom. I'm hoping that's what the husband's referring to regarding personal matters. But the other issues in the relationship clearly make it seem otherwise. Seriously, is your partner a Chinese diplomat? Because I am seeing so many red flags. This story by Sugar Lover. Am I the a-hole for making my mum crash? My mum takes my car to work because her car is getting fixed. She was asking me where the keys were about 3 times, but I didn't respond because I was too tired. Anyways, she took the van and went to work. All of a sudden, my dad is calling me non-stop on the home phone, and I do not pick up ever because I do not want to talk to people who are abusive. But he's saying something through the speaker repeatedly, so I'm thinking it's news about my school. So I call him on my phone and ask him what it is. He then says that I hid my keys, which led to my mum crashing, and then says with a harsh and angry tone that I don't get the van. Essentially, meaning that it's my fault that my mum crashed, and as a punishment, I don't get the van that I've been asking to keep once I move out. In my opinion, I did not hide the keys, because they're always in my purse on my door hanger because it's convenient for me, and I assume my mum knew because I literally showed her how I organized my purse and where I put the keys a week prior. I also think that she is just blaming me because she can't take responsibility for her actions, which is something that my mum does and my dad enables and joins in on. Yata, you didn't directly cause the crash, but how the frick can you be too tired to say the 3 words, "in my purse"? Everyone sucks here for the accident, but I find it kind of weird you literally wouldn't tell your mum where the keys were because you were tired. I mean, that stood out to me. She was clearly stressed, and that certainly didn't help. Also, have you paid anything for the van? I don't know that you can complain that much if it isn't your car and you aren't buying it. Nata, your mum's lack of driving or reactionary skills is her problem. I'm still trying to fathom how you, being in a completely different location, could be responsible for a car accident. Yeah, this story sounds quite one-sided. Telling your mother where you put the car keys over a week ago isn't exactly helpful to her. Also, are you actually that comfortable with someone rummaging through your personal belongings like that just to get some car keys? You speak with quite a bit of contempt for your parents in this whole post. I wouldn't be surprised if this contempt rubs off onto them. Regarding the crash though, definitely not your fault. And turns out there was an update halfway through reading this. A lot of people are saying Nata. It's actually not that many people. But I decided to apologize anyways for not telling her where the keys were, so I called her, and she says she never crashed, so I'm going to call my dad and see if he made it up. Another update. My dad said that she bumped the van into the truck in the driveway and called that a crash. So yeah, there's a bit of a-holery all around in this family. This comment by Anchovy Mac and Cheese, though, definitely makes a good point. Everyone sucks here, but more Yata. It's not fair for them to blame your mum crashing on you. That said, the world does not revolve around you. If you had the car keys in your possession, why would you not give them to your mum or let her know where they are? You assume she knew that you had them. You know what they say about people who assume, right? Helping her out would have been a minor inconvenience at best, and you still couldn't be bothered. In this post, both of your parents were trying to communicate with you, and you couldn't seem to care less. You need to grow up a little bit. What do you think, though? You think that she isn't completely the a-hole like everyone's saying? It's definitely a lighter level of a-holeness that we normally see. If anything, this is at least great exposure for her to see where she can grow as a person. But most importantly, exposes just how much her dad, exaggerates the intensity and size of things. Though that's something I'm sure the mother is already aware of. This story by a throwaway. Am I the a-hole for wanting this supervisor to get punished after his actions? So, I met this guy at my job, male, who's a 33-year-old, and he is some higher-up supervisor who visits stores here and then makes reports. Me and him had to work together for a few hours alone. But before that, he approached me when my manager and another coworker was around. He tried to find out how old I am and this and that. When we worked alone, he became more chatty and learned more about each other. Before he leaves, he said he wanted to stay in touch with me and gave me his number. But it was his work phone because, apparently, his phone was broken. He texted me and such to call him after work, and I did. And we talked for about an hour, and he was all about God and how much faith he has in God, and he trusts nobody except God. I am not religious, and, well, I guess he did not like that, but he was still willing to stick around. He asked me if I wanted to hang out, and I agreed. But the next day, he texted me how he was feeling bad because of his position, and he can't do it, but he already feels so attached to me. He asked me again to call him, and we talked, and I told him how I would like to know him more, and I find him attractive. We met for a few hours later and went to the beach and relaxed there. He was very sweet and nice and was acting protective, and it started slowly with him touching my shoulders and kissed me. He told me love takes time, and I agreed, and he told me he doesn't know where this will lead. But later, when we went into his car, he kissed me more and he became more intimate. He grabbed my breasts and actually sucked on one of them, which I did not actually want. And he tried to touch me down there. Again, I did not want that, and he asked me for a BJ. I refused, and then he asked me if I would like to talk. He explained to me that I am so beautiful and young, and I will definitely cheat on him, and how he only has relationships that he thinks will lead to marriage, and he does not see that with me. He said I am not religious as him, and not into kids, and wouldn't work out, and he left me stranded. The thing is, he sent my manager a complaint that she has to watch me out, saying my performance is not as good, which is a lie. After that date, I don't know what he could do. He has actually ghosted me. If I report this to my manager and HR, could they side with me? I have the texts and calls as a proof since we also agreed to meet and such. Natar, he assaulted you. Yes, report him to your manager. Though don't be surprised if they're powerless or blame you. At the same time, it sounds like he's trying to get you fired anyway, so what do you have to lose? In the future, never date someone who is your boss. Opie responds, yeah, I don't know how powerful he is within the company, but my manager is scared of him. She said he always finds something negative to report. I laid next to him, but I was not trying to do anything intimate. Also, he told me he was a religious person, so it was unpredictable. I know, but I felt attracted, and he was actually really sweet before, unless he was faking it. Okay, yeah, see, here's the thing about religion. Some people are actually genuine about it, and genuinely follow it as a faith, though there are those who hide behind it, to excuse their actions and behavior towards others because, well, they're following the word of God. I'm not religious myself, but even I have the moral understanding to know that God would not want his child to do such a thing upon another person. Natar, you should not worry about repercussions. The man was in the wrong, and is trying to punish you for not accepting his inappropriate behavior. HR will have your back. If they don't, go up the chain of command and try again. This man is in a position of authority over you at your job, and it could be easily argued that he used that as a means to sway you into coercion. He clearly had one thing on his mind, despite telling you that he was hesitant or that he liked to take things slow. As soon as you asked him to respect your boundaries, he ditched you. His actions speak much louder than his words. Yeah, it was sounding okay at first with him understanding his position and how that could be affecting this relationship, but the later actions clearly proved that he was just using that as a permission slip to proceed further without fear of backlash. Oh, after all, you said you were okay with this before. Clearly his idea of what your relationship would have been was very different to what you had in mind. Now, neither of you can be an a-hole for how fast and intense of a relationship you want to have from the get-go, but the fact he didn't make sure there was clear consent from you, that he didn't check you were okay with what he was doing, and that he then tries to make work a living hell for you, yeah, go right ahead and report him. Honestly, you're likely not the first nor the last woman to be dealing with this from him.
Hey, are you watching content on a YouTube channel that you're not subscribed to?
You better change that before I write you up a fine for doing so. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Still giving you one though. You know why? Because you are. Fine. See, I'm giving you a fine. Never mind. This story by wizard named Tim. Am I the a-hole for commenting on a trans friend's name choice? This happened years ago. I was friends with a trans individual who had apparently decided on a new name for themselves. And aside from any congratulations on the choice, I merely said something akin to that not being the name I would have used. As I suppose, it just didn't click. But nothing explicitly rude or mean-spirited was said to them. Soon after, I got a barrage of "Who the frick do you think you are?" that and other hostile messages, all from this same friend. thoroughly confusing me, as I never said the name or choice was bad, or that they shouldn't use it. It was just my opinion on how it clicked. The name and their face, like, Mike. I don't know, you don't look like a Mike. Felt like a big misunderstanding to me, one that ruined the friendship. I didn't care what they called themselves, as it's not my call or my business. It was just my opinion. I asked my best friend at the time, and they understood what I meant. I just can't escape the doubt that maybe I was actually in the wrong. So, I guess, am I the a-hole in that situation? Sounds like a Larry David comment, which is funny, but of course makes you the a-hole. Yet, just because you stated your opinion doesn't mean it wasn't an a-hole thing to say. If I see an ugly as hell baby, I don't tell the parents I think the baby is ugly to their face because that's just freaking rude. You basically told him his newly chosen identity, which had to have been an intense personal choice, was an ugly baby. You think that wasn't gonna sting? Everyone sucks here. Names are a sensitive topic. Pretty much the only acceptable comment about someone's name is that that's a nice name. So you were an a-hole for thinking they wanted to hear your opinion about whether the name fit. But sounds like they were a-holes too. Names are sensitive, and it's okay to be upset. But holy hell, no need to go DEFCON 1 over it. A simple, I wasn't interested in your opinion, a-hole, would have sufficed. So that's why they sound like an a-hole too. I can agree to that last bit. After all, it does seem in OP's post that they point out that they understand it's not their business or call to decide what to call someone's trans name. But I definitely agree that regardless, that joke, or even comment for the matter, was still in poor taste. You done goofed here, mate. But as long as you made it clear that you totally understand your opinion should mean nothing, and upon reflection you do realize it wasn't the right thing to say, then I think your friend's just wasting their energy trying to put hate on you. You're clearly not being a bigot towards them, but you're definitely an idiot in your comments. This next story's, interesting. Am I the a-hole for telling my mum that the dress code she and my dad established for the house is sexist and incredibly weird? I'm an 18-year-old female and am a sophomore in college and am taking classes virtually this semester because of Corona. I was mostly raised by a single mother, 57-year-old female, with a younger brother, 16-year-old male, as my dad has been out of the picture for most of our lives. I love my mother and admire her strength in taking care of me, my brother, and my grandma all these years despite her physical disability. However, she is extremely sexist and clearly has internalized misogyny. I feel sorry for her, but I think she is mentally ill and needs help. She's become unbearable to live with. I'm not allowed to go out in public without wearing makeup most of the time. I'm not allowed to wear most tank tops, athletic wear, or shorts below the knee. No crop tops or sleeveless anything. Dresses can't go above the knee, including pajamas. Every weekend my dad visits, my mom basically doesn't let me wear shorts at all or anything that exposes a bit of skin. My brother, who is an angel most of the time, once made an inappropriate comment about my body, and my mom responded by saying I should probably wear a bra to sleep. I refused. Every time a male relative comes over, she forced me to change clothes from my already conservative pajamas to majorly long dresses, and she never asks my brother, who wears shorts, to change. My dad already has a uniform set in place for us that he makes us wear when he visits. I must wear a pink shirt with his logo and pants. My brother has to wear a blue shirt. He whistles to announce his entrance and forces us to hug him for 10 minutes on end and sound enthusiastic when we see him. We also have to bring a Bible and recite the same passage 5 times until he thinks we really know it. If we don't do all this, he throws a hissy fit and gets mad at Mum, who then gets mad at us. My brother accidentally forgot to wear his dad visit uniform once, and my dad threw a fit and wouldn't stop talking about his whole visit even after my brother changed. My life is so freaking weird. I feel like a Von Trapp kid. I almost lost it the other day when my family friend of my dad's, a maintenance worker, came by to fix a window from outside. He didn't even come in the house, but my mum went crazy for wearing such a revealing pajama shirt dress that touched my knees and got angry when I asked her specifically why I had to change and my brother didn't. I then told her that I'm tired of the dress code that doesn't make sense, and the guy shouldn't come over at all if she doesn't trust him to be around me. Obviously, she blew up at me and started yelling and refused to answer the question. I mean, I don't think my reasoning is wrong, but I might be the a-hole for losing my cool when my dad's friend could have overheard it. I need some judgment and help, please. I will also post this on other subs to figure out what to do. I just need to know if I'm going about this the right way. Regarding the mother, I just wanted to hop on here and say, those all sound like something a person who is a survivor of childhood abuse would say. Her inability to face her abuse could easily lead to projecting her feeling of shame and self-hatred for her sexuality onto you. Maybe not at all what is happening, but it seems probable. Yeah, it's one thing to be unnecessarily flaunting your sexuality for attention, but it's another to be wearing clothes that make you comfy. And you are clearly the latter here. Nata, those household rules are way too extreme and sexist. Basically, they are trying to teach you that it's your job to make sure men don't look at you in any way, and that if they do, it's clearly your fault, because they maybe saw an exposed ankle or shoulder. I strongly suggest doing whatever you need to in order to get a new place to live ASAP, so you will never have to live like that again. Nata, fear breeds control. I am assuming your mother has been a victim of abuse and seems to be projecting her fear and shame onto you, resulting in her controlling what you wear. Her behaviors are very typical of someone who was abused and hasn't dealt with her trauma. If I'm right, I would guess that someone has told her she deserved it because of what she wore and she was asking for it. I would suggest your mother go to therapy, but this will only work if she is ready for that. The weird cult-like behavior that your dad enforces upon you all is a red flag as well, and definitely isn't helping your mother face her fears and become more, secure as a person. However, I also think just immediately defying her requests, or in this case, orders for you to dress more conservatively, isn't exactly constructive in terms of helping turn her around for the better. I think you'll have a better chance approaching her about this subject in a time and manner when you aren't both arguing about it. Give her a chance to speak, actually listen to her, try to find a way where you can understand where she's coming from. Honestly, I think at this point in her life it's probably a lost cause, but you can at least try.
Well, if it isn't someone who ended up watching the entire video. Seems to me you must have liked the content today, and I'm no mathematician. Just thought you'd like to know I'm not a mathematician. But I am someone who makes videos.
Honestly, thanks for all the love you guys give, or even despite. I'm actually Satan, so all hate and suffering you send my way is just really great for my skin complexion. That's it for now. My name's been Jack, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye-bye.